types of financing that are internal, short and long term, and external, short and long term.
Introduction. One of the most important considerations for an entrepreneurial company in implementing a new project or undertaking expansion, diversification, modernization, and rehabilitation scream in ascertaining the cost of the project and the means of finance. There are several sources of finance funds available to any company and effective appraisal mechanisms of various sources of funds available to a company must the institute in the company to achieve its main objective.
Internal sources of long-term financing. Social capital. It is that contributed by the founding shareholders and by those who can intervene in the management of the company. Retained earnings. It is generated in an exercise that gives the organization a great financial stability. Conclusion. Internal financing is very important because it is the basis for financing external financing. External sources of long-term financing. Types of external financing. Pledge credit. Granted usually over the base of the certificates of deposit or pledge bonds. Its term can be up to 10 years. Mortgage loan credit granted for the purchase of terrains, buildings to make arrangements or enlargements. Term of mortgage. Companies industries guarantee typical for 15 years with 2 years of grace. Farming and animal breeding for 5 years with 2 years of grace. Loan amount must not surpass the 50% of the guarantees granted. Interest rate is based in the overall percentage cost, which is variable. It is an pledge credit. You give something in guarantee. The lender can charge as a credit opening a percentage of the total amount of the credit. Fixed asset loan. Granted for the purchase of machinery, equipment, or construction of machinery. Term of the fixed asset loan. Companies industries granted typically for 50 years, farming for 5 years, never exceeding the probably useful life of the financed asset. Has as guarantee fixed asset. The amount of the credit must not surpass the 75% of the granted guarantees. Interest rate is based in the overall percentage cost, which is variable. It is an pledge credit. You give something in guarantee. Working capital loan, granted for the purchase of raw materials, supplies, and paying for labor or workforce. Term of the working capital loan, industry 5 years, farming and animal breeding for 3 years. Guarantees include goods, assets, products obtained by the credit. The amount of the loan must not surpass the 75% of the occurring goods or costs generated. Rate of interest based on the overall percentage cost, which is variable. It's a pledge credit. Conclusion. We can conclude by pointing out the importance of the long-term financing used by the various organizations on a daily basis, giving them the possibility of maintaining a stable and efficient economic and business continuity, and consequently granting a greater contribution to the sector to which they participate.
Created using Powtoon.